Hey, 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 everybody. I am so excited. I know I say that every week, but I am. I'm so excited to be here today, y'all. We're going to be talking all about mastering your emotions, but we're going to find about the truth about mastering your emotions. And I'm excited to have my guest here. This is Lordine Jean Francois.
Yes.
Um, Okay. Yes, honey. Yes. And so we're gonna let you introduce your whole self in a second. But I'm excited about the conversation that we're about to have because we are in a time that requires us to master our emotions. We
Mhm.
are really at just a pivotal time, I think, in history where we just need to learn how to bring it all in,
Yeah.
so that we can get further faster.
Mhm.
But before we jump in, girlfriend, I want to know what your superpower is, aka your strength.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kiki, for having me.
Yay.
I would have to say my superpower is teaching people and organizations how to master their emotions and their minds so they can achieve their fullest potential and make the impact that we are all here to make. So that is my superpower.
Yay, I love that. And I think that that's so good. And the reason why I love opening with that question, because I think that creating your own happiness is something that we all can do for ourselves. And we do that by walking in our strengths every single day.
Absolutely.
And I know you do that. So go ahead and give our audience a little rundown of who you are and what you do, because you be doing some powerful things out there in this community and in this world. I be checking you out. So I love it.
Thank you. Yes. So I am Lordine Jean Francois. I am a licensed clinician in the state of Maryland. I'm also a women's empowerment coach and a wellness consultant. I am the co-owner and co-founder of Better Days Counseling LLC. We're based out of Lanham, Maryland. I am also the founder and owner of Abundant Consulting, the creator of the Powerful Women of Abundance, which is my Facebook group, my Facebook
Ooh.
community, and the creator of the Flow Counseling, Coaching, and Consulting Method.
Oh, girl, listen. Oh, that sounds good. The flow.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm a positive psychologist. And
Yes.
so flow means a lot,
So
to me, right?
yes, so many
So
things.
what is flow? Is it acronyms for you? What does it mean for
Yes.
your method?
Yeah, so it's an acronym, but it's also the step-by-step process that I walk my clients through. So F is feel your feelings. L is lean into courage and curiosity.
Mm.
O is own your power. And W is win.
I love that. That's all. Y'all heard it, y'all. Flow, honey. Y'all better get up on it. Y'all better get up on it. Thank you, Costello, for joining us today. And if you are here, let us know where you are tuning in from and join and give us your name. We'd love to give you a shout out. All right. So mastering your emotions, right? It's a big thing, right? I think that I want to kind of start off on with your definition of what does that really mean? Because we'll say you need to master your emotions, but we won't say it like that. We'll be like, girl, you better get it together.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
professionally, like we need to master our emotions, but it's real though, right? So what really is mastering your emotions? What does that mean?
Yeah, so to me, what it means to master our emotions is to be fully present with what is so that we can transcend what
Mhm.
is and achieve a greater level of awareness and essentially a higher level of consciousness.
Okay. So what does not mastering your emotions look like?
Yeah, it looks like resisting your emotions, suppressing them, repressing them, avoiding them, and acting on them, reacting oh, that was my phone, reacting instead of responding to them.
Look how good you did that. That phone dropping, you like, whoop, okay, let's keep it going.
I mean, that's part of the mastery. You can't,
Right.
Can't frazzle. You got to feel what it is and let it be what it is,
Y'all see how she did that? She made y'all see that she was an expert.
And then, you got to acknowledge it. Oh, that was my phone. Back to the matter at hand. Okay.
I love it because you'll see, people not mastering emotions show up, right? In the media. We were just talking about a couple different examples before we got on live, is that, people just show up where they react versus learning how to actually respond in an appropriate way. What is your mastering emotions story, right? Like, how did you even come to this work that you are doing, helping so many people learn how to get here?
Yeah, indeed. Thank you for that question. So I'm Haitian American. My mother and my father are both from Haiti. And so when I grew up living, we live in multi-generational households in Haitian culture. So I grew up around a lot of the women that I love, the women I learned from and observed. I grew up watching so many of them, now knowing what I know, struggle with anxiety and depression, and how not getting the help they needed kept them stuck, scared, and struggling. And so, as most of us do, I adapted to my environment and I dealt with many of the same things. And when I started my first year at Morgan State University, the anxiety and the depression I experienced was so intense that I even contemplated leaving school because I was so overwhelmed with my emotions. But I couldn't let that happen. I knew that there was a reason why I was there. So from that moment forward, I made it my mission to learn, to figure out what is up with these feelings. Why do we fall into depression and anxiety? And what does it look like to have our emotions, but not let our emotions have us? And so that is what led me to this work, and what continues to unfold as I walk my path. Yeah.
Wow. I'm amazed that you actually learned that during school, right? Like at a pivotal time in life where we're so vulnerable, we're so open, we're so all these things while we're in school. But we do learn so much during that time, right?
Absolutely.
What helped you even during that time learn how to master your emotions and get through that?
Sure. So my support system, I really benefited tremendously from being around the people that loved me, cared about me, but also, deepening my spiritual practice, really focusing my time and energy into strengthening my connection with my higher power. So that, and whatever that is for people, God, source, the universe, I believe that was what really saved me, because in strengthening that connection, I then was able to realize the truth about who and what I really am. And that circumstances that we experience in life are just part of the process of us all coming to that realization. And I decided to see what I was going through as a journey, and what I continue to go through as a journey to the revelation of my divinity and my connection, direct connection to the source that flows through everyone and all things. Yes.
Yeah, no, and that's so good, because that to me is just the connection, community. All of those things are so key to, I think, so many things in life that we just kind of overlook, right? But mastering your emotions has a really great connection with emotional intelligence,
For
Why don't
sure.
you kind of talk about that a little bit? Because as a counselor and everything, and as a coach, we always talk about emotional intelligence, but everybody doesn't necessarily have it. So talk to us about emotional intelligence.
Yeah. So emotional intelligence for me, I would sum it up in three things. One, it's understanding the function of emotions, right?
Mm,
Why do we have them? And we have them because they communicate, they illuminate, and they motivate. They
mm,
communicate our wants and our needs. They illuminate what's important to us, and they motivate us to take action. Right. So the
yeah.
first part of emotional intelligence is recognizing the function that emotions serve. The second part, I would say, is being able to identify those emotions.
Mhm.
Where does sadness show up in your body? How does anger feel in your body? Right? Being able to identify those emotions within us, and also being able to identify them in others, right? To be able to read, pick up, and empathize with others. And then thirdly, I would say being able to respond to what's happening internally instead of reacting off of what it is we're feeling at any given moment. So that's how I would sum up emotional intelligence.
And then so with that summation, I can see that having this, emotional intelligence is so beneficial to, regulating,
Yeah,
how we show up in the world.
absolutely.
I can remember when my emotional intelligence was quite low.
Mhm.
And I would think this was more so when I was, starting off early college. I
Sure.
think that's when you kind of started learning how yours, shows up as well. And I can remember saying, I'd say what I want to,
Uh,
right? Like I'd say anything out of my mouth that I want to, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm so glad that I learned differently because that actually got me in trouble a lot of times just saying what I want to. And I'm like, well, people always use this freedom of speech and all of that, but there
sure.
are consequences to that.
Indeed. Indeed. For sure.
There, there are such consequences to that.
Yeah.
And so, like, what, when a person has a low E, I because Costello said, EI is so important.
Yeah.
When a person has a lower, well, let me ask this question.
Sure. Sure.
How do you know
Yeah.
as a person that
Sure.
you need to work on your emotional intelligence?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're experiencing any form of dis-ease, also considered
Mm,
disease, right? And so, dis-ease in your spiritual health, your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health, your relational health, right? Your financial health. So, if there's any aspect of your life that isn't in alignment, and you're able to tell that by the way that things are not progressing maybe in the manner in which you know they should, or
mhm.
they could, but something is getting in the way of that. That's usually an indication that you need to work on your emotional intelligence, because if you think about it, the input affects the output. So if what's happening in your life isn't reflective of the vision you have for your life, the grandest vision you have for your life, then that's an indication that there's a need to tune in and work on what's going on emotionally and mentally.
Wow. I love that because I love, first of all, dis-ease,
Yes,
dis-ease,
this is
disease, right?
absolutely, because we're designed to function optimally. We're designed
Mhm.
to function with ease. The
Yeah,
body is
yeah.
still healing, right? And so whenever that's out of balance, that's an indication that there's some work to do.
Yes. And I think that in order to get there, even though even though we feel uncomfortable in these spaces, I I think awareness is so big because a lot of times we are uncomfortable, but we don't either know why we're uncomfortable or we
Mm,
don't want to acknowledge the uncomfortableness, right? Which I think is where regulation emotions come in, because you mentioned um understanding your emotions, or just acknowledging that they are even there,
yes. Yes,
right?
For sure. That's a
Yeah.
big part of it. That's a big part of it. And the reason why we struggle with that is because whenever we feel something uncomfortable because of the way the mind works, it works to try to protect us. The knee-jerk reaction tends to be to avoid or resist that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the avoiding and the resisting, we're actually just causing that energy and motion to build up and build up and build up.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we get to a point where we explode or we have exactly, right. So a big part of it is being able to recognize that your emotions are not, I usually say they're not good or bad. They just are, but
Mhm.
actually they're very valuable information. They give us very valuable information. Yes,
Exactly.
what we
Exactly.
need, what we want, and what changes we need to make. So we have to befriend them. We have
Yeah.
to for a reason. But again, the way that we're wired, the way that we've been taught and even observed to avoid the uncomfortable, that's just a habit that many of us, most of the population, 70 to 80% of the population,
Mhm.
it's a habit that we're all still, working through,
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
why we are, where we are. Mhm.
Yeah, no, definitely as a society and just as a person, like as people,
Yeah.
right? As society, as a person, because we've been taught, like you said, to stuff our emotions in,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Suck it up and be
Sure.
strong and be brave and you got this and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And we don't know how to then handle even small things.
Yeah.
I always would say, why is this one level? Why are you making this number one level issue a 10? Come
Uh-huh.
on, right? Like why this only takes a 1 or
Sure.
2 or 3 at the most. But
Sure.
we make it 7, 8, 9, 10 when
Yeah.
it don't take all that.
Yeah. And it's because we've avoided so many one level issues, and now a one level issue becomes a 10 level issue.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, because you don't know how to handle nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I always say, I have a saying that I love to say is, when you master your emotions, you master your life.
Ooh.
Because I truly believe that learning how to show up from a place of not chaos and reactionary is so important. My pastor used to say, your response is your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So how you respond to a situation is your responsibility. And I think that is so true, because it's like, we can't blame all these things on other people and expect to just be, to get where we want to go.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny. I say something similar: master your emotions, master your mind, master your life, because that's it. That's the key, right?
Yeah.
And whenever we're blaming, yes, there is something about the ego that is gratified by blaming, right? Because a lot of us, whether we're aware of it or not, there's reinforcement that we get from playing that victim role, right? Subconsciously playing that victim role. So blaming keeps me in a familiar role, right? And it makes a problem. So I don't have to accept accountability to do something about my circumstance, which is going to be uncomfortable because it's an unfamiliar place for me, right? But the downside to that is, when we blame, we give our power away.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And it's so funny because it's so funny how that works, right? We don't think it. We're like, I'm in control. It ain't my fault. It's their fault, right? We don't think that we're giving our power away, but we are absolutely giving our power away to choose to be, to be happy. I can remember a long time ago, I love my mom to death, but baby, we went through a lot of things together. As did, most people, but I would blame her for everything. Child, I could be in the other room and I fell down and it was her fault. You know what I'm saying? This is once I got older, went off to college and stuff like that. And I had an epiphany one day when I talked to a friend. He was just like, girl, you need to take responsibility for your own stuff. And I'm like, what you mean? It's not my fault, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but kind of, you giving away your power right now. And why? I was like, oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, you're right.
Yep.
And so, all right. So we understand what it is. We understand that we see it happen every single
Every
day.
single day.
Right. And I mean, and I'm not perfect at it myself, right?
No, we're all growing.
I try real hard. I'm telling you, anybody with kids, and I got two children, five and under. And then I have an adult son too, honey.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So anybody know that you can be tested?
Yes, for
Like
sure.
the best of us can be tested.
Absolutely.
And then we have to really be like, oh, okay, let me figure out what I done learned. Because right now, right now.
Oh, good. The real.
You either want some mouth or some hands.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it's so interesting. Like the real shift is being able to like be thankful for those experiences, because whenever those emotions come up, I often say be thankful for your triggers, because they show you the wounds that need healing. Yes, whenever those emotions come up, it's an opportunity for you to be with them so you can transcend them and elevate your awareness, right? So it's a shift. It's a shift.
It is a shift. That is a shift. But I love that though, because I've always said too, of course, like your emotions tell you something. They're trying to tell you something. They're talking to you. So if you get mad about one certain thing all the time, baby, what is that trying to tell you about you?
What is
right? Not about the person or thing, but about you. And I think that's a lot of times we don't really sit back and do that real self-introspection that we need to do.
Right?
Because around emotions.
Sure, because it requires us to acknowledge things that are difficult to acknowledge, things that are difficult to be with. You hear about inner child work and shadow work, and I mean that's what all of this is. And so when we've spent so much time avoiding the uncomfortable, like it's a habit that we have a hard time breaking and really replacing with a more effective, habit, a way of being with emotions.
Sure. Love it. So if people are listening to this, what are some ways that we can actually begin to master our emotions? I mean, I know that's probably a loaded question, but what can we share with everybody about some ways we can start to tackle those?
Yeah. Well, so I love this method. It's the ACE method, ACE.
Okay.
So it's an acronym. It's acknowledge your inner experience. So consider our emotions like the waves on an ocean, right? Or an ocean, right? And that ocean sometimes gets a little turbulent, right? So if you're the boat, right, and the emotions are the motion in the ocean, you would want to drop an anchor to steady the boat, right? And what we use to drop an anchor is the ACE. So this is the dropping the anchor with the ACE method. So you want to acknowledge your inner experience, and that simply looks like saying, okay, this is sadness, this is anger. I realize I'm having unpleasant thoughts or memories, and you want to come back into your body. So you want to breathe, whether it's diaphragmatic breathing, box breathing, even adjusting your posture. If you're sitting in a chair, planting your feet firmly into the floor, you want to come back into your body. And the E is for engage. You want to engage with your present and your environment. Right now, it doesn't mean those feelings or those thoughts are going to go away. What it does mean is that you can be fully present while those things are present as well. And so that method: acknowledge, come back into your body, and engage.
I love that. How do I remember that in the moment when I'm about to use the mouth or the hands?
Well, so you want to practice it when you're not in a moment where you're triggered. So you want to do this whenever. You can do it for unpleasant emotions and thoughts, but for pleasant ones as well. So you want to practice when you're not in a triggered or heightened state. And then that way, when a trigger does arise, you've already been working that muscle. And so you're more likely to, pull that tool out of your toolkit.
I love that. First of all, because as a positive psychologist, we lean toward the strengths, right? Sure. And I think that a lot of times we always forget the flip side of something, and the flip side of that thing is a positive side, right? So acknowledging when you're happy, right? Using the ACE method when you're happy, and having happy experiences, I can see that being so beneficial. Absolutely. Because we don't do that. We don't do that often. We're like, oh my God, like, we acknowledge when we're mad. I'm so mad. I'm so pissed. I'm so this. I'm so that. But not when we're happy.
Yeah, it's the brain's negativity bias. As a positive psychologist, it's the brain's negativity bias. Yep. And so in doing so, in practicing this, when you're feeling good, that's how we retrain our brains and ourselves to be more comfortable and present with good feeling emotions as well.
Yeah, I love it, because I love my son. He's always like, when he's like super excited, he's like, Mommy, I'm so excited. He's 3, and it's just the cutest thing ever. I'm so excited. Okay. And I got a gift the other day. And I was telling my husband, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. Because I think that we just don't acknowledge, number one, our wins. Number two, our happiness, our excitement. It can be even small. It doesn't even have to be anything super big. But I think that really understanding that that's an emotion as well, just as much as, you being mad or being angry or something like that.
Indeed.
Acknowledging them and saying, you know what, something is going on with me, but I want to take that moment to figure out how to process this and not react, but respond in a way that is that works for me.
That works for me. Yeah, that's in alignment with what matters to me and where I'm going, who I'm becoming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, I love the ACE method. Yes. Is that the main one you're gonna leave us with today?
That's the main one. That's
okay. All right. All right.
Good one. You can pull it out whenever you need to, but it's the one that I use most often.
I love it. And so, we are almost out of time. I'm telling you, this, the Dr. Kiki Ramsey show goes by real fast. But what we be trying to do is get the people the information that they need. Lordine, please tell us how they can get in touch with you. You are a licensed counselor and coach in Maryland. But tell us how we can get in touch with you, because I think that what you have to offer and just this skill set is so important for us to know.
Yeah, thank you. So if you're interested in either coaching or consulting, I'm a wellness consultant as well. You can reach me on my website, www.abundantconsulting.org. I'm also on all platforms, on Instagram, as well as LinkedIn, Lordine and Facebook as well. So you can Google me. I'm out here, She out
there, y'all. She out there. She doing the things, okay? She's doing all the things. Well, I absolutely love it. I've enjoyed our conversation today, and I just want to thank you for coming in and really shedding light on this, because if you look in the media, there's so many people who are losing their stuff, their emotions, and I think that if we learned how to utilize this skill and this tool, that we could get further faster. Absolutely. Right? We could reach some goals.
Indeed.
So I think it's super important. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
So for those of you in the audience, I thank you so much for joining us today on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show. We always are looking for ways to help you create your own happiness. If you are also looking for a group of women professionals who are trying to create their own happiness, come on over to happywomenlead.com and join us there. I look forward to talking to y'all next time. All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.